The Imperial Recon Fleet moved through the dark region known as Sector X-47, a place the Empire had avoided for generations. Every record about this sector ended the same way: ship missing, crew missing, no answer. But the Empire was growing bold, and High Admiral Varkos wanted new borders for the future. So he sent a full recon fleet of 600 ships to explore it. For the first hour, everything seemed normal. The fleet captain reported slow movement, calm space, and no strange signals. The command center back on the capital planet received routine updates every 10 minutes. Then, suddenly, the update stopped. At first no one worried. Space was large. Delays happened. Maybe a storm of cosmic dust. Maybe a simple communication error. But then the emergency channel activated by itself. A broken voice spoke through heavy static, the sound shaking every officer in the command center. Unknown. Entity detected. It's already inside. The message ended with a sound like metal tearing apart. Then silence returned. A silence so deep that even the machines in the command room felt slow and heavy. Admiral Varkos stood frozen. He had led the Empire's largest battles. He had fought across 5 galaxies. But this silence felt different. It felt like something watching. He ordered immediate action. Send rescue drones. All of them. Now. Within minutes, hundreds of small drones entered Sector X-47. Their cameras streamed live footage across giant screens. Officers gathered around the screens with wide eyes and tight hands. The first drone showed nothing. Not debris. Not fire. Not smoke. Just empty space. The second drone showed the same. And the third. And the 10th. All 600 ships of the recon fleet had vanished. No broken parts. No burned engines. No bodies drifting in zero gravity. It looked as if the fleet had never existed. A young officer whispered, "This is impossible. Even black holes leave remains." Admiral Varkos did not answer. His heart was thundering in his chest. He knew something was wrong with this place, something far beyond normal threats. Then the drones detected something unusual. A long, thin scar of energy, stretching across the darkness. It glowed faint blue, as if space itself had been sliced open by something sharp. One scientist stepped forward, shaking. "This is not natural. This is like a wound in space." Another drone moved closer. As it touched the glowing scar, its lights flickered. The video feed turned black for 3 seconds. When the camera returned, the drone was gone. Vanished. No explosion. No warning. Just gone. Fear spread through the command room. One officer backed away from the screen. Another dropped his tablet. Even the machine seemed to flicker, as if the strange energy interfered with everything around it. Varkos forced himself to breathe slowly. He could feel every eye in the room turning to him, waiting for orders, waiting for answers he did not have. He finally spoke. "Seal Sector X-47. No ships enter. No ships leave. This is now a red-level threat." Everyone froze. A red-level threat had never been declared in the Empire's long history. Not during wars. Not during rebellions. Not even when entire planets fell. It meant one thing: an enemy beyond all understanding. Rumors began spreading within hours. Soldiers whispered of monsters. Civilians talked about cursed space. Some believed it was a new weapon from an old enemy. Others believed it was something ancient, something that lived in the dark before civilizations were born. But the Empire needed answers, not stories. Varkos ordered a full investigation team. "I want every detail of the last message. Analyze every sound, every second. Something must be there." The sound experts worked day and night. They slowed the message, cleaned the static, enhanced the background noise. When they finally replayed it, everyone in the room felt their skin crawl. Behind the captain's terrified voice, something else breathed. Slow, deep, unhuman. Another officer whispered, "Is that a creature?" Someone else said, "Or a machine?" No one agreed. No one could agree. The sound was unlike anything known. But Varkos noticed something the others missed, the captain's final word before the message cut out. Not run. Not help. Not even attack. The last quiet word was inside. Whatever destroyed the fleet had not attacked from outside. It had entered the ship. It had walked through walls or broken them silently. It had reached the captain before he could finish his sentence. Varkos felt a cold pressure in his chest. He had faced many dangers, but this felt personal, like something had wanted to send a message by erasing the fleet so cleanly. A message that said, "I can reach you any time." Later that night, while Varkos stood alone in his office, staring at the stars, he whispered to himself, "Whatever did this wanted us to see the scar. It wanted us to know. The Empire thought it ruled the galaxy. But something new had entered the game, and it had destroyed 600 ships, without leaving a single piece behind." 3 days passed after the recon fleet vanished in Sector X-47. The Empire was still trembling with fear. Every military officer walked with tight shoulders. Every scientist avoided eye contact. Everyone felt the invisible presence of something unknown moving in the dark. High Admiral Varkos barely slept. Every night, the same questions echoed in his mind. What destroyed the fleet? Why leave no trace? Why only one message? He ordered fresh patrols near Sector X-47, but this time only single ships, fast and light, built to escape quickly. Their mission: watch from a distance and report anything unusual. For 2 days, everything remained silent. Then, without warning, one patrol ship sent a sudden alert. Unidentified object detected, moving at impossible speed. The command center exploded into action. Screens lit up with live visuals. Officers ran to their stations. Varkos leaned forward, eyes sharp. The patrol ship's camera shook violently as it zoomed in on the target. At first, there was only darkness. Then something bright moved through the black void, fast, like a streak of white fire. "Slow the footage," Varkos ordered. The screen slowed, and the image became clear enough to send chills through every person watching. A silhouette, a shape that looked humanoid. Not a monster. Not an alien beast. Not a machine. A tall figure made of blinding light, its body glowing faint blue, its edges flickering like flames in slow motion. But the strangest part? It moved without effort. No thrusters. No engines. It simply drifted forward, as if space itself carried it. The patrol captain's voice trembled. "What is that thing?" It's looking at us." The glowing figure stopped moving. It turned its head, slowly, calmly, and faced the patrol ship directly. Even through the camera, the entire command center felt the weight of its gaze. Then everything went wrong. The lights on the patrol ship flickered. The controls shook. Warning messages flooded the screen. Energy levels dropping. Shields failing. Something is forcing entry. Before the crew could finish speaking, the glowing silhouette blinked out of sight. Everyone stared at the screen, waiting. "What happened?" an officer asked. Then they saw it. The silhouette appeared inside the ship. No breaking of doors. No damage. It simply appeared in the hallway like a ghost rising from light. The crew screamed. The footage turned into chaos. Running footsteps, shaking cameras, alarm screaming. The silhouette raised one arm. Not in anger. Not in attack. More like it was studying the crew. Then the entire screen turned white. When the camera stabilized, the interior of the ship was empty. Silent. The glowing figure was gone. And the patrol crew had vanished along with it. Varkos felt a deep pressure in his chest. More fear than anger. More shock than confusion. He replayed the footage over and over, trying to understand what he saw. A humanoid figure, moving faster than sensors. Able to appear inside ships without touching walls. Able to drain energy with no weapon. Able to erase entire crews without leaving a single body. One officer finally whispered, "Is it a person?" Another replied, "Or something pretending to be one." The science team analyzed the video for hours. They slowed every moment, checked every angle, measured every energy surge. Finally, they presented a report to Admiral Varkos. "This entity does not behave like any known species, but some of its physical form matches human proportions." Varkos stared at them. Human? That is impossible. Not exactly human, the scientist corrected. Only similar in shape. But the face, when enhanced, shows recognizable features. Varkos looked at the enhanced image on the screen. A blurred face, glowing with light. But yes, the shape looked human. A wave of confusion spread through the room. How can something human destroy ships like that? How can it move faster than light? How can it walk through metal? The scientists had no answers. One technician approached Varkos, holding a tablet. Sir, there is something else. What now? The patrol ship's black box recorded a final sound. Not speech, but something like breathing. They played it. Slow, deep, steady. It was the same sound heard in the last message from the vanished recon fleet. Varkos's hands tightened behind his back. 2 fleets gone. 1 entity. 1 shape. 1 warning. The Empire needed more than drones and patrols now. It needed specialists. Send a call to the Obsidian team, Varkos ordered. Full deployment. Every officer sucked in a sharp breath. The Obsidian team was no ordinary group. They were the Empire's most skilled investigation unit, trained for situations where normal soldiers died within minutes. If they were being deployed, the threat was far greater than anyone feared. As the message was sent, Varkos stared at the dark region of space on the giant star map. Whatever that thing is, he whispered, it knows we are watching. Outside the window, the stars remained silent. But somewhere in that silence, the glowing figure drifted through the void, moving with calm, dangerous purpose. And it had already chosen its next target. The Obsidian team arrived at the Imperial Command Station within 6 hours. Their transport ship landed silently on the steel platform, its black armor shining under the cold lights. Every guard on duty stepped back as the team walked out. 6 people, dressed in dark suits, moving with sharp confidence. They were known across the Empire for surviving things no one else could. Lost planets, dead star zones, unknown creatures. If the Empire ever faced a threat beyond normal soldiers, the Obsidian team was sent first. High Admiral Varkos waited for them inside the briefing room. Their leader, Commander Raye stood straight. She had calm eyes, a scar across her cheek, and the kind of presence that quieted a room. Varkos wasted no time. You all know why you're here, he said. An unknown entity destroyed 2 fleets. We need answers. Raye nodded. We saw the footage. We saw the silhouette. Your mission, Varkos continued, is to enter Sector X-47, track this entity, and learn its purpose. Do not engage unless there is no other choice. One of her team members, Derek, frowned. What if it attacks us first? Varkos looked at him with tired eyes. Then survive long enough to send the information. The room turned silent. They all knew what that meant. This could be their final mission. The Obsidian team entered Sector X-47 in a fast and heavily shielded ship called Blacklight. Raye sat in the command seat, watching the stars on the front screen. The sector was quiet, too quiet, like space was holding its breath. The ship sensors scanned constantly. Nothing so far, Derek reported. Just empty space. Keep scanning, Raye said. It attacked when ships lowered their guard. Hours passed. The silence felt heavier and heavier. Then suddenly, a faint signal appeared. A weak beacon. Old. Damage. Repeating a short message again and again. Raye leaned forward. Where is that coming from? Mira, the team's tech specialist, checked the data. Her eyes widened. It's an Earth signal pattern. Everyone turned to her. Earth? Raye asked. Are you sure? Yes, Mira said. This frequency is ancient. Earth used it thousands of years ago. Derek frowned. How is an old Earth beacon here? Humans never reached this far. Raye felt something in her stomach twist. Something of great importance. Move toward the signal, she ordered. The ship changed direction and slowly approached the source. As they got closer, the screen revealed a small metallic object drifting in space, a broken beacon, old and covered in scratches, still blinking its weak message. Raye ordered it brought aboard. Inside the docking room, they examined it carefully. Mira cleaned the dust and activated a visual readout. The message played. A rough, shaky voice spoke. "This is Survivor Unit, from Earth Colony Transport. Attacked, hunted. If anyone hears this, we are not safe." The recording ended with a sharp gasp and static. Derek stepped back. "This is impossible. Earth transports were never allowed this far." Raye stared at the device. "Unless they were taken here." The room went cold. As the team processed this new mystery, a sudden alarm beeped loudly. "Something outside!" Mira shouted. They ran to the main window. Floating only a few meters away from their ship was a figure. Oh, glowing blue. Humanoid. The same silhouette from the patrol footage. But now, they were close enough to see more details. A tall body built like a human. Shoulders broad. Arms long. Face blurred by bright aura. But still shaped like a human face. And it wasn't attacking. It was just watching them. Derek swallowed hard. It found the beacon before us. Maybe it followed the signal. Raye stepped forward slowly, keeping her voice steady. "Do not open weapons. Hold positions. Let's see what it does." The glowing figure raised one hand. A light beam shot from its palm, not towards them, but towards the hull of Blacklight. The team panicked, but the beam didn't damage the ship. Instead, it burned a message on the metal surface. A single sentence. Raye and the others ran outside to read it as soon as the airlock allowed. The letters were scorched into the armor. "Humanity remembers." Myra's breath caught. It wrote in English. Derek's voice shook. "This thing understands human language." Raye stared at the words, her heart pounding. A glowing entity. A destroyed fleet. An ancient Earth beacon. And now this message. Was it trying to speak to them? Warn them? Threaten them? Before they could react, a loud sensor alarm screamed through the ship. Mira checked the screen. "It's gone." "What?" Raye snapped. "The entity disappeared," Mira said. "Completely vanished. No energy trail. No direction." Raye stared into the empty darkness outside. First it watched them. Then it delivered a message. Then it vanished like it was never there. Derek broke the silence. "Commander, if this thing is human, what does that make us?" Raye didn't answer. She only looked at the scorched message on the hull. "Humanity remembers." A cold truth settled over her. This wasn't an attack. This was a warning. A promise. A memory returning from somewhere deep in the past. And the Empire had no idea what kind of power they had awakened. Admiral Varkos stood alone in the command hall when the report from the Obsidian team arrived. He watched the footage 3 times without saying a word. The glowing entity. The ancient Earth beacon. The message burned into the ship's hull. Humanity remembers. His fingers tightened behind his back. Something old, something buried, had returned. He called an emergency meeting with the Empire's highest officials. Generals, scientists, ministers, and the Emperor himself appeared around the long round table. Everyone looked tense, but the Emperor looked angry. Varkos played the recording again. No one spoke until it ended. Finally, the Emperor leaned forward, his voice low and sharp. "Explain." Varkos answered carefully. "The entity displays human shape, human gestures, and knowledge of human language. The beacon from Sector X, 47, uses an ancient Earth frequency. I believe the two are connected." A murmur spread around the room. One general scoffed. Humans could never create something like this. They barely reached their own moon before joining the Empire. Another added, "Maybe it's an alien copying a human form." A scientist shook his head. "The energy readings match no alien species known. Whatever this is, it has human biology at its core, even if changed." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. How can a human destroy fleets? How can a human enter a ship without breaking anything? Everyone looked uncomfortable. Varkos cleared his throat. "I think it's time to reveal the old files." The room stiffened. One minister whispered, "You can't mean those files." "Yes," Varkos said. The ones the Empire sealed 2 centuries ago. The Emperor's jaw tightened, but he nodded. Bring them. A guard unlocked a secure vault and carried out a black metal case. Varkos placed it on the table and opened it. Inside were thin data tablets covered in warnings and red markings. The screen lit up with the project's title. Project Ascend. Raye Solon, watching remotely from the Obsidian ship, listened through the secure connection. She had never heard of this project before. Varkos began reading aloud. 200 years ago, the Empire captured early human colonies. They were studied, experimented on. Scientists tried to enhance them, strength, speed, mind, body, creating soldiers unlike any race. The ministers looked away in shame. The Emperor's voice grew heavy. It was a mistake. A terrible mistake. Varkos continued. One test subject escaped. Silence dropped like a heavy stone. Raye's eyes widened. Escaped? Where did it go? Varkos looked at her through the screen. We never found it. The project was buried. The files were sealed. And the Empire erased every trace that humans were ever experimented on. A scientist added quietly, that subject was not fully human anymore. We pushed its evolution too far. It grew faster than expected. Stronger. It showed powers that no body should have. Raye spoke slowly. What kind of powers? The scientist swallowed. It could survive in open space. Could regenerate wounds instantly. And it could manipulate energy fields. Everyone in the room felt chills. Those abilities perfectly matched the glowing entity. Derek's voice came from the Obsidian ship's feed. You think this thing is the escaped subject? Most likely, Varkos said. But that was 200 years ago, another officer argued. Nothing lives that long. Raye shook her head. What if it doesn't age normally anymore? What if the experiments changed it beyond normal limits? The scientist nodded. It may have evolved into something new. Something far beyond the Empire's understanding. The Emperor slammed his fist on the table. Why is it destroying my fleets? Varkos slowly turned the screen to the burned message from the Obsidian ship. Humanity remembers. He spoke carefully. Maybe it remembers what we did. Maybe it remembers the experiments. The cages. The pain. A minister whispered, trembling. It could see the Empire as its enemy. Raye's voice came through again. It is not harming civilians. It is targeting only military fleets and research stations. That means it has purpose. Not anger, purpose. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Purpose to do what? Raye answered. To protect humans. To remind the Empire that humanity cannot be controlled anymore. A long, cold silence filled the room. Finally, the Emperor leaned back in his chair. So the creature is ours. Our creation. Our mistake. Varkos nodded. And it has returned. Inside the Obsidian ship, Raye ended the connection. She felt the weight of the truth settling over her like a storm. The entity wasn't an alien. It wasn't a monster. It was a human. One evolved far beyond anything the Empire had ever seen. One forged in pain, forgotten in history, now awakened after centuries of wandering alone in the dark. She replayed the message on the hull. Humanity remembers. It didn't feel like a threat. It felt like a warning. Derek looked at her nervously. Commander, if this thing wants revenge, can we stop it? Raye stared into the darkness outside the ship. No, she said quietly. We can only understand it, or be destroyed. And somewhere out in Sector X-47, the glowing figure drifted through the stars, silent and powerful, watching the Empire wake up to its own forgotten sins. It wasn't finished. Not yet. The Empire tried to hide the truth, but fear spread faster than silence. Rumors moved across the galaxy like a shadow, whispered by soldiers, repeated by pilots, carried through markets, ships, and colonies. A glowing figure. A vanished fleet. A message burned into metal. Everyone knew one name now, whispered like a ghost story. Subject 0. The Obsidian team stayed in Sector X-47, tracking strange energy waves left behind by the entity. No one slept much. Every sensor alarm felt like the start of something terrible. Commander Raye stood at the ship's main window, watching the empty dark. "It's moving with purpose," she said. "This is not random." Derek nodded slowly. "Then where is it going?" Mira tapped her console. "I found something. The energy pattern is leading toward Imperial border stations. The ones that use humans as labor." Ria's eyes sharpened. "Then we know its next target." Hundreds of light years away, on a mining station known as Outpost Ironhold, human workers broke rocks and sorted minerals under strict supervision. The Empire kept them under constant watch. That night, the outpost commander frowned at reports of failing systems. "Sir," a technician said, "the shields just dropped for no reason. Bring them back online." "I'm trying. Something is draining the power." Before the commander could respond, the lights dimmed. A cold wind brushed through the hall as every machine in the building went silent. Then the emergency lights flickered on, revealing a tall, glowing shape standing in the center of the room. The workers froze. The guards raised their weapons, hands shaking. The glowing figure took no hostile stance. It simply looked around, slowly, almost calmly. Then it pointed at the human workers. In their minds, not through sound, but through a strange pulse, they heard a single word: "Go!" The guards fired their weapons instantly, but the beams never reached the figure. They bent away, like they hit an invisible wall. The figure took one step forward. The walls shook. The ceiling lights exploded. Every weapon fell apart in the guards' hands. Panic broke out. Workers ran. Guards fled. The station trembled as if something massive pressed against its structure. The commander stared helplessly as the figure raised one hand, then touched the ground. The entire station powered down completely. No lights. No machines. No alarms. Nothing. In total darkness, the glowing being stood like a star. Then it burned a message into the floor with a thin beam of blue light. "Freedom is due." Before anyone could speak, it vanished. Outside the station window, a ring of energy pulsed through space, spreading outward like a silent wave. Every Imperial sensor in the nearest systems detected the pulse. Every ship near the border went on alert. And the news reached Imperial command within minutes. Admiral Varkos watched the footage of the destroyed outpost with a silent, tight jaw. No civilians were harmed. No worker was touched. Only military systems were disabled. Only guards lost weapons. "Why is it sparing people?" an officer asked. Varkos answered without turning. "Because Zero isn't here to kill at random. It has a mission." "A mission?" the officer repeated. "Yes," Varkos said. "To free every human the Empire controls." A cold wave swept through the room. The Emperor joined the call, his voice sharp and angry. "So it wants to challenge the Empire?" Varkos didn't answer. Another officer spoke. "If it continues targeting stations, our borders will collapse." The Emperor slammed his fist on the armrest of his throne. "Then we will crush it. I want the Titan fleet prepared. If this creature wants war, we will give it one." Varkos opened his mouth to protest, but stopped when a new alert flashed across the screen. Subject Zero sighting detected on Research Station K-91. The station specialized in human biology research. Everyone exchanged dark looks. Varkos whispered, "It's not choosing targets by chance." On the Obsidian ship, Mira tracked the entity's movements through the trail of drained energy. "It's moving faster," she said. "Much faster." Derek frowned. "Why now?" Raye spoke softly. "Because it's sending a message." The ship's alarms suddenly beeped. "New signal detected." Mira shouted. A tiny hologram flickered in front of them. Subject Zero's glowing silhouette appeared, not in person but as a projection recreated from the energy pulse. Then it spoke, not through a mouth, but through a deep, calm vibration that filled the air inside the ship. "I am not your enemy, unless you choose to be." Then the projection vanished. Raye stared at the empty space, chills down her spine. "It's warning us," she whispered. "Not threatening. Warning." Derek looked shaken. "Warning us to do what?" Raye answered without hesitation. To stop the suffering of humans. Mira swallowed. And if we don't? Ria's voice was almost a whisper. Then we will see what real power looks like. Across the Empire, soldiers felt fear rise. Civilians whispered in the streets. Systems flickered under strange energy storms. Communication networks glitched. Every border, every station, every fleet felt the same question. Is this the beginning of a war? Or the beginning of justice? Subject Zero had made its message clear. It wasn't finished. Not until every human in the Empire was free. The shuttle glided silently through the heart of the drifting structure, its lights cutting narrow paths through the darkness. Captain Raye stood at the front window, eyes locked on the glowing corridor ahead. Every part of her body warned her to turn back, but her mind refused. She needed answers. The Empire needed answers. Behind her, the away team checked their gear, quiet, tense, unsure of what waited inside. The structure felt alive. Not with movement, not with sound, but with presence. Like something ancient was watching. As the shuttle slowed, a circular chamber opened before them, huge, empty, and echoing. Faint shapes floated in the air like dust caught in slow motion. When the shuttle touched down on a smooth metallic floor, the lights flickered across strange markings carved into every wall. Dr. Fun stepped out first. His voice shook. Captain, these symbols don't match any known language. Not Empire, not pre-Empire, not even the lost colonies. Raye followed him, her boots clicking. They look old. No, Fun whispered. Older than old. This could be older than every recorded civilization. Sergeant Kalen aimed his rifle into the shadows. Whatever it is, let's not stay long. They walked deeper into the chamber. Each step echoed, but the room also felt strangely quiet, like the air swallowed sound the moment it was made. At the center of the chamber stood an object. A tall, black monolith. Smooth, seamless, almost reflective. A faint vibration hummed from it, so soft it felt more like a memory than a sound. Fun moved closer, eyes wide. Incredible. It's absorbing trace particles. Like it's drinking the environment. Raye frowned. How? It's a solid surface. That's the problem, Fun muttered. It's not behaving like matter. Kalen circled the monolith carefully. Well, is it dangerous? Fun didn't answer immediately. He pressed a scanning device against the surface. The device shut off instantly. Every light on it died. Fun froze. Raye stepped forward. Doctor. He stared at the monolith, trembling slightly. It didn't just block the scan, he said slowly. It erased the device's power core. Like it reached inside and removed the energy. Raye's pulse quickened. This was not a weapon. This was something else. Something that didn't follow the universe's rules. Suddenly, a soft glow appeared on the monolith's smooth face. A symbol formed, 3 lines spiraling toward a center point. Kalen raised his rifle. It's reacting to us. Fun shook his head. No, not to us. To our presence. Or maybe to our thoughts. Raye felt a strange pressure against her mind. Not intrusive. Just noticing. Stay focused, she ordered. But the glow brightened. The chamber walls flickered. Then the air split open with a low, vibrating tone. Something between a hum and a whisper. The markings on the walls burst into lines of light, racing across the surface like flowing rivers. Kalen stepped back. Captain, this place is waking up. Fun stared in awe. No, it's communicating. Raye felt the pressure grow stronger, pushing gently against her mind. Images flickered behind her eyes, stars collapsing, fleets burning, entire sectors fading into white nothingness. She gasped. Kalen steadied her. Captain, Captain. Raye breathed hard. I'm fine. I just saw something. Fun approached the monolith again. I think it's showing us what it has done. Or what it can do. Kalen's jaw tightened. So it did wipe out the Empire fleet? Before anyone could answer, the monolith pulsed. A beam of soft light shot upward to the ceiling, splitting into dozens of thin streams. The streams touched the walls, and suddenly the chamber shifted. The walls dissolved into moving images. Not holograms. Not projections. Memories. Ancient wars. Dying planets. Unknown ships crushed like dust. Beings made of light fleeing from darkness. And behind it all, the same spiral symbol. Everywhere. Fun fell to his knees. This entity, this force, it has existed since before any star chart, before any empire, maybe before the first civilizations. Raye's voice tightened. What is it? A machine? A species? Fun whispered. Something between both. A watcher? A cleanser? Something that acts when civilizations reach a certain point. Kalen swallowed. So we're next. The monolith brightened sharply. A final image filled the chamber. An outline of the empire. Planets. Routes. Stations. And then, one by one, they went dark. Raye stepped forward, fury rising inside her. So that's its message? A warning. The light faded. The chamber dimmed. The monolith returned to silent, cold black. Fun whispered what everyone already feared. It's not warning us. He looked at Raye with terror. It's announcing its plan. The chamber went still, and the structure around them shuddered like something massive had awakened deep within. Raye steadied herself, eyes narrowing. We're leaving, she ordered. Now. But something in the darkness moved. Something big. Something that had been waiting. The chamber of echoes was no longer silent. Something was coming. Something ancient. And it had noticed them. The chamber shook again. Dust drifted down from the high ceiling as the walls pulsed with faint blue light. Captain Raye turned toward the sound. Slow. Heavy. Distant. Something was moving inside the structure. And it was moving toward them. Everyone fall back to the shuttle, she ordered. Sergeant Kalen pulled Fawn to his feet. Move, Doc. Whatever it is, it's huge. The team ran across the glowing floor, their footsteps echoing sharply. Behind them, the monolith pulsed once more, this time with a deeper, heavier vibration. It felt like a heartbeat of something not human, not alive, but aware. As they reached the corridor, the lights flickered again. The air grew colder. A faint mist flowed along the floor as if the structure itself was exhaling. Raye raised her rifle. Kalen, check rear. Kalen glanced back and froze. Something stepped into the chamber. Not a creature. Not a robot. Not a machine. It was a shape, tall and thin, formed of shifting shadows and faint light. No edges. No face. No eyes. Just a moving outline that looked like a silhouette of a being erased from reality. Fawn whispered, trembling. That's not a guardian. It's a fragment. A projection. A small piece of the main entity. The figure turned toward them. The walls flashed white. A force swept through the corridor like a silent wind. No impact, no sound. But every member of the team felt it pass through their minds. It was searching them. Studying them. Measuring them. Raye clenched her teeth. I won't let it scan us. Keep moving. They sprinted down the corridor as the shadow entity slid silently behind them. It didn't walk. It didn't run. It drifted like thought made solid. The team burst back into the docking bay. Kalen slammed the shuttle door open. Go! Go! Fun stumbled aboard. This thing, it doesn't see us as enemies. It sees us as a problem to solve. Like a glitch. The structure shook again. Stronger. Raye turned to Kalen. Launch. The engines roared to life. But the shadow entity appeared at the bay entrance, blocking the exit. It raised an arm, more a shape than a limb, and the shuttle's controls flickered. Lights dimmed. Engine power dropped. Raye shouted, push full thrust. But the shuttle refused. The entity was draining energy. Fawn screamed. It's copying us. It's reading our technology. Raye slammed a fist on the controls. I won't die here. She reached under the pilot seat and pulled out a small black cylinder. An emergency plasma core used only in extreme cases. Kalen's eyes widened. That'll overload the engines. We'll blast through, but we don't have a choice. She shoved the core into the engine socket and hit the ignition. The shuttle lit up with burning blue fire. The entity reacted instantly, pulling its arm back. Too late. The engine burst forward, throwing the shuttle like a missile straight at the bay exit. The shockwave rippled through the corridor, blasting the shadow entity apart into shreds of glowing mist. The shuttle shot into space. The moment they were clear, alarms rang across the cockpit. Fun stared at his screen. "Captain, the structure is powering up." "All of it." Raye looked out the window. The giant black shape behind them was waking, glowing with the same spiral symbol they'd seen in the monolith. Its outer skin unfolded like petals of a dark flower. Massive energy rings rotated around it. Kalen swallowed hard. "That thing's about to do something big." Fun's voice shook. "It's preparing a scan?" "No, a purge." Raye grabbed the comm panel. "This is Captain Raye to all Empire forces. Do not approach. Repeat, do not approach. Unknown entity is active." Static cut her off. The structure emitted a beam, thin, white, and almost peaceful, toward a distant star system. The star dimmed, then vanished. One blink, one breath, one moment, and an entire star was gone. Kalen whispered, "By the void." "It erased it. Just erased it." Fun shook his head slowly, fear filling his eyes. "That wasn't an attack. That was a test." Raye stared at the empty space where the star used to be. "This thing," she whispered, "is not here to fight." She looked at her team. "It's here to decide." "To decide what?" Kalen asked. Raye swallowed. "Which civilizations survive?" The structure shifted again, turning toward the Empire's border. The spiral glowed brighter. Fun gasped. "It has chosen its next target." Raye pushed the shuttle to full speed. "Then we warn them. No matter what." As the shuttle fled into the darkness, the ancient entity watched, silent and endless. Its decision was made, and the Empire had only days left.